Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how the first half of our homeschool year went, as well as kind of showing you how I planned the second half of our school year. If you did not see my first homeschool curriculum plan video with me, then be sure to go check that one out because that'll kind of explain how I got my subjects and all of that and where my thought process was when starting the first half of the year. But in case you are new to my channel and this is the first time you've seen one of my homeschool videos, I do homeschool my daughter. She is 4 and in pre-K. We do not have a super structured school schedule or anything like that, but I do plan out all of my subjects and I do follow my state's guidelines. And the reason for that is because in the next year or two, I will have to register with the state, and I wanted to make sure that if I was considering homeschooling my daughter, that it was going to be something I could sustain. So I made it a goal for myself to treat this year as if I was registered with the state and follow all of the guidelines and make sure that it's something that will be doable for our family and that I will be able to consistently maintain before I actually have to register with the state. So with that all being said, if you're interested in seeing how our first half of the school year went and how we are planning our second half of the school year, just keep on watching. Okay, so in case you didn't go back and watch my first video, I'll just really quick go over the subjects that we have to do. Again, this is based on my state's requirements. If you are planning on homeschooling, be sure to check out your state's requirements because each state has their own. But as far as our state goes, we are required to teach English language arts, math, PE, science, social studies, and reading. So the first thing I did at the very beginning of the year is I wrote out all those subjects and kind of thought about how I was going to teach each of those subjects and what kinds of things I should be teaching a 4-year-old when it comes to those subjects. So the one I had the hardest time with was social studies, because I couldn't think of what social studies really was for a pre-K 4-year-old. And what I ended up finding after looking on Google, I just typed in some pre-K social studies worksheets and that sort of thing, is that community helpers came up, kindness, feelings, about me, those sort of things. So like interacting with other kids, like social skills is kind of what came up. So that's the route I took for social studies. And then for science, I feel like there's not a whole lot of science that we need to be doing right now. Since she is just in pre-K, I think science is really fun and we are doing science, but it's not something I really was worried about focusing on. So I decided that science and social studies I was going to alter every other week. And then what I did after that is I went through the entire year and came up with different themes for every single week of school, and each theme will either fall under the science or social studies. So for example, the week I'm on right now is around Halloween time, and the theme for that week was body, specifically bones. So obviously that is more science-based than it is social studies, so I planned out activities for science that week. And then the next week we did Halloween, and so that is more social studies based, and we talked about some of the traditions and that sort of thing, and that was more social studies in my opinion. So that's kind of how I did those subjects, and I plan on keeping that the same going into the next year. And like I said, when I planned out the first half of the year, I went ahead and made themes for the entire school year. So I don't have to worry about coming up with any more themes or anything like that. So all I'm going to need to do to plan out those is go on Google and Pinterest and type in whatever the theme is. So our first week of school, the theme is goal setting. So I'll just go on Google and type in pre-K goal setting or 4-year-old goal setting, that sort of thing. And I'm sure there's tons of worksheets that we can print out and work on. But again, we're not like doing super complicated stuff. It's just like the bare minimum. So we'll just like discuss what a goal is and that sort of thing. So that is kind of how I'm handling those two subjects. And then another subject that is changing is PE. So the first half of the year I had planned on putting my daughter in homeschool PE at the YMCA. But we actually found out that she was not old enough. So she had to be 5, and she doesn't turn 5 until the end of January. So what we were doing the first half of the year instead is going on hikes, going on walks. We got a playground, so she plays in the backyard, going outside, that sort of thing. She was also doing t-ball and swim. So that is what we were doing for PE, but come February, since she will be 5, we will be putting her in homeschool PE. So that will be the only difference with that. And then as far as English, language arts, and math, those are the subjects that are going to be changing the most. So the first half of the year for English, I was focusing on the letters, their sounds, and how to write uppercase and lowercase. And I feel confident that she knows all of her letter names and most of the sounds. Some of them she still gets a little confused, and she can identify all of her letters. She can write them if she sees them, but she doesn't necessarily know all of them. Like if I were to tell her to write a B, she might have to look at our alphabet chart to write a B. So we will be practicing more of her writing skills and recognition and identifying the letters more quickly, like being more confident when she identifies her letters. But also we are starting to get into phonics and reading. So I have this book right here that I bought off Amazon, and it comes with some stickers, which will be fun because she can mark things as she does them. But I thought that this would be a good book for her to start learning phonics. So this will probably be what we start using the second half of the year. I'm just going to go through this workbook and pick out which pages I think will be good for her. So for example, the very first page in this book is say the name of each picture, circle each picture that begins with the B sound. So if I want to do this on the first day of school, then I would just go into my planner and I'm going to write worksheet page 1. And then I might even go through this book and see, yeah, so the next page is also B. So I would probably do pages 1 and 2 in one day. And then the next pages are C sounds, and then it goes to D sounds. So it looks like this book goes in order. The only ones I'm not seeing, I think they split the vowels, maybe it looks like. So yeah, so I really like the order of this book, so I'll probably just go through and write down the worksheets for each letter and do that. Also, same as same as the beginning of the year, I alternate English, language arts, and math. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday we do English, Tuesday and Thursday we do math. That's gonna stay the same. I've loved having that schedule, and it worked really well the first half of the year. If we missed a Monday for some reason and didn't do English, it was very easy to just move that on to Tuesday because we weren't doing English that day anyways, and it's not as overwhelming, I feel like, to do English and math versus having to do multiple days worth of English because we missed a couple days. So we will continue alternating, and that's how I'm going to plan English language arts. And then math, we focused on counting 1 through 20. We wrote her numbers 1 through 20. And we did some patterns, we did shapes, colors, reviewed the basics. So with her, I will say that I've noticed the more complicated we get with it. For example, we've kind of started dipping into addition and subtraction, which she has really picked up very quickly, but she starts to forget some of the basics. So for example, if I give her an addition problem and say 2 plus 3, she can tell me it's 5, but if I ask her to write it down, she might not remember how to write a 5. So for math, I really want to continue reviewing the basics with her, which we review a shape and a color every single week on our morning board. So I'm going to continue doing that. And then as far as her numbers go, I'm going to have her write her numbers 1 through 20 every single day that we have math, before we actually do any of our math. So our focus is going to be being more confident in the basics, as well as dipping into addition, subtraction, patterns, association, sequence, that sort of thing. And then the last subject I need to plan is reading. So last year, I keep saying last year, the beginning of the year, our reading was me reading books to her and going to story time. So we go to story time every single Wednesday at our local library. We will continue doing that in the second half of the year. But the difference is that since she is going to be working on phonics in English, I went ahead and bought these Bob's books. If you haven't heard of these before, they are just beginner reader books. And I got these on Amazon. It's a set of 12 books. So I think what I'm going to do is assign one book every single week. And we'll just review that a couple times a week, so that by the end of the school year, she should be able to read all of these. And what I really love about these is that they build on sounds. So I just think it'll be really good for her to be doing this while we're working on phonics in English. So that is our plan with reading. We will also obviously still be reading library books and, like I said, going to story time. So when I started to plan out the second half of the year, the first thing I did, actually let me go ahead and zoom in here so I can show you guys. This is the first week we come back to school from winter break, and the first thing I did is I went to my monthly overview for each month. And again, if you're new to my channel, I do have an older son who is in middle school and he goes to public school. So when I plan out my school schedule for my daughter, I use the district's school schedule. So I went through my monthly calendar and wrote all the days that he does not have school, and those same days my daughter will not have school. And then I also put on here some special stuff. So my daughter's birthday is in January, and it's also the 100th day of school in January. So after I put all of that on my monthly calendar, I went into my weekly calendar, and obviously I have all my subjects, and I planned out all my weeks. And up here in the miscellaneous subject, I went ahead and put any special occasions. So I have Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I have my daughter's birthday on here, and I have the 100th day of school. So I just kind of copied those over into my weekly schedules. And I just really like this because as I'm planning my stuff out, I can see, okay, today's the 100th day of school. We're going to plan out some fun things that have to do with that. So for example, I actually already planned out the 100th day of school, some of it. So in math, we're going to count 100 M&Ms. And then in reading, she has a book that's called I'll Teach My Dog 100 Words. So that is the book that we're going to read that day. And then I'm sure we'll do something else really fun that has to do with the 100th day of school as well. But those were just a couple things that came to mind as I was planning out that day. After I have all of my occasions planned out and anything that's going on for that month, then I go ahead and start to plan out my other subjects. So the first one I usually do is science and social studies. Since again, I already have the themes, it's going to be pretty easy. So for this week, our theme, like I said, is goal setting. So I actually already have a couple things in mind. It looks like I actually already put on here a calendar worksheet that we had in our workbook that we were using the first half of the year. So we're going to do that on Tuesday. I want her to make a vision board, which she has done with me before. So we will probably do that. And honestly, I don't worry too much about the days. I just kind of write them on here. Once we actually get to that week and I pull out my planner, we'll decide based on what we're doing that week, which days will be best for these projects. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and fill them in here. So we'll make a vision board, and I also just want to go over the basics of goals, but I'll probably look up some worksheets for that. So that's all I have right now is just make a vision board, and then I'm going to make a note on here to look up worksheets. And again, when I do that, I'm just going to go on Google and basically type in pre-K goal setting and find some worksheets that I like, and I'll print them out, and all of my worksheets go into this binder. So I actually already have some for the end of the year, I guess, that I haven't put in yet. But yeah, so I'll put all my worksheets in here, and then I'll just fill them in on here once I have them. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next subject. PE, like I said, is a hike or YMCA PE. In January, she cannot do it because, again, she doesn't turn 5 till the end of the year. So all of these will just be a hike or park. So I'm just going to write hike / park. And that'll be the same for every single day. And then we have reading. So on Wednesdays when we do story time. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on here. We do story time at 10:30. And then I'll probably do her Bob's books on the day we do English. So we'll do Bob book number 1 on Monday, and then we'll do it again on Friday. Bob book number 1. So she'll be doing that twice a week. And then we'll just read other stories these 2 days. Usually the stories have something to do with goal setting or with the theme. So when we go to story time the previous week, we will look and see if we can find some books that have to do with goal setting. But if not, we'll just read whatever book she feels like. And then now we are going to go ahead and plan out English. So like I said, we're going to use this book. And I'm going to go ahead and just go in the order that they have it. I think that it looks really good. So we're going to do letter B, and it's pages 1 and 2. So I'm going to write letter B, page 1 and 2. For Tuesday, oh, actually, we have no school on Monday. So I'm going to do English and math on Monday, and then Wednesday we'll do English again because that would be a normal English day. So we'll do letter C, which is pages 3 and 4. And then Friday we're going to do pages 5 and 6, which is D. I just wanted to double check. Letter D, page 5 and 6. So now I have all of my English planned out for the week, and now we're going to go ahead and do the same for math. So I actually forgot to show you guys this book. This is a new book that I got from Five Below. It is actually a kindergarten level book, but I really like this because it's a lot of different stuff that I haven't seen before. It's very colorful. It's got a lot of pattern stuff, sequins, in my opinion, a lot more advanced stuff. But my daughter actually picked this up over the summer and started working on some of it, and I was actually pleasantly surprised with how much she was able to do. So I'm going to kind of use a little bit of this. So let's go ahead and see what we've got in here. This one I'm not going to be able to go in order because, like I said, some of it is a lot more advanced. So I'm just going to kind of go through and see which ones I feel she'll be able to do. So this one actually looks kind of fun. It's a little addition practice, and you cut out the little puzzle pieces and put them together. So I think that that would be good. And then also this Shape Master, color the squares red, color the circles green, color triangles orange. That looks fun too. So I think I'm actually going to do the Shape Master on that day. So we'll do page 18, just Shape Master, and then let's see if we can find another one that has to do with shapes maybe. Match the path, help the horse get back to the barn, make a path by coloring the shapes that have 4 sides. So I think that's another good one, and they both have to do with shapes. So I think I'm going to do pages 18 and 27. So I'm going to go ahead and write in here shapes, page 18 and 27. So this video is getting pretty long, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish this later, but you guys get the idea. I go through my worksheets, I go through whatever resources that I have, I write down whatever worksheets we're gonna do, I plan out any activities that we have. In the second half of the year, I'm gonna start looking into co-ops and field trips because she will be old enough when she turns 5 to participate in some of those. So once I find out if we can participate in those, I will add those on here as well. So this has worked pretty well for us. This is how we planned out our first half of the school year, and this is how we're going to plan out the second half of the school year. The only other thing I wanted to mention was our schedule. So at the beginning of the year, I had scheduled times, like we're going to do morning board between this time and journal between this time, and it didn't work at all. The amount of time it takes us to do the stuff that I have planned is like 15-20 minutes. When I first planned this out, I thought we were going to be spending a whole day on school, which I'm very glad that we don't, because again, she's only in pre-K. I don't think she should be spending the entire day doing school, and these activities that I have planned, the worksheets and everything, take us about 20 to 30 minutes at the most, which seems to be about the perfect time before she starts to lose interest. So I'm not even going to worry about making a schedule. I'm just going to go ahead and fill out my planner, and we're going to go with the flow for the second half of the school year. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.